Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Not RV. On this week's episode, I got a big install for you. We're installing the Airlift 2500XL onto my buddy's 2500 Silverado. Let's get to it. Remember, if you want to learn more and make less mistakes while RVing, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like and a comment down below. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Now for filming purposes, I went ahead and put this up on a lift here because of my buddy. This is his truck. He's a general manager here at Bristol Chevrolet. So this is his truck and we're able to use the bays back here, but you do not need to use a lift whatsoever. A simple jack and a pair of jack stands. That's all you need for this job. All right, so this is my buddy Kevin, and again, this is his truck. So tell me about the truck and camper that you got.
So the truck is a 2024 2500 Duramax. It's a LTZ Z71 Sport Pack truck. You can see factory 22-inch wheels. It's new for 24. It's the first time they've offered that. Great truck, I like it. As far as camper, it's an Alliance Avenue 36 BRM, 11.7 dry weight. GVWR is 14,400 pounds. And it has a payload capacity of 2,700 pounds, and my hitch weight, pretty heavy hitch weight, 2,570 for the pin weight on the truck, probably on the camper.
Yeah, so over 2,500 pounds going into the bed of the truck.
Yeah, my hitch that I have is a B&W fifth wheel slider. Love the slider, love that hitch. I think it's one of the best hitches on the market.
Outstanding. So right now, when you hook up, you probably got, what, at least 2 or 3 inches of sag?
Oh, at least. I mean, it was surprised me how much sagging I had on this truck with that pin weight, because I had an F250 before, and I really didn't have that issue with that, but the truck pulls it, but it just squats the truck more than I expected. Right,
yeah, so it pulls it fine. It's just that little bit of squat, creating a little bit of unlevelness.
Yes.
And so we're going to go ahead and get these bags installed, and we'll show you the before and after photos of kind of what that camper looks like on the truck, because right now, you'll see, I'll actually put a photo up here right now of what that camper looks like on the truck, and it drops it down a noticeable difference.
Oh yeah, it squats it a lot.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's get to the install. All right, first thing, we're going to go ahead and do a quick unboxing of the Load Lifter 7500 XL. All right, so inside we got the bags themselves. We got owner's installation guide. We got tubing, heat shield, some fittings, and of course we got the actual mounting brackets. All the mounting brackets, mounting hardware, and the caps, and a user guide. All right. Obviously, like I said, because I'm up on a lift, this is just for filming purposes, making it easier. However, right now, we're getting ready to do the install. What you're gonna go ahead and do is jack up the truck off of the frame so you can be relieving a little bit of pressure from the axles. So what you wanna do is jack the truck up by the frame and use some jack stands to hold it up so that your rear suspension is completely bottomed out, you know, all the tension has been released from it, okay? Your tires can still be touching the ground, that's perfectly fine. You just wanna make sure that all the tension is dropped out of the suspension. All right, first things first on the install, we're just gonna get right into it, is we have to remove these little jounce bumpers from the little socket that they sit in, okay? They're both on driver and passenger side, and those basically prevent you from bottoming out your truck. And this is basically right where the airlift is gonna sit. So all you need to do is take a flathead screwdriver, get it up in there, and just wiggle this thing out and take it out. This thing is then gonna be garbage, you're not using it again. All right, just to show you guys from where we're at, so this is the driver's side. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and remove the ABS line off this bolt right here because our bracket's gonna sit over top of it. Don't worry, this is gonna go right back in the same general area, but we're gonna undo this bolt on both sides. Those bolts are 13 millimeter, just by the way, very easy to remove. All right, our next step is to go ahead and remove our larger wire loom. Okay, there's a smaller wire loom and a larger wire loom. And to remove this larger wire loom from the bracket, okay? It's very simple. There's 2 little tabs on both sides and you just kind of pinch those down and push it down through. I'm gonna do that now on this side, but it's gonna be very difficult to do one-handed. It's not gonna happen one-handed. 2 hands, it comes off very, very simple. I mean, I literally just kind of pinched on the top. Essentially, these little tabs, just pinched it like that and then pulled it down with my other hand. And so now that's all loose. Next thing we're doing is actually assembling the bags with our brackets and everything like that. So let's go ahead and get this set up, show you what it's gonna look like. All right, so what we're doing is we're taking the bag, with the side that has the actual air inlet valve on it facing up. We're gonna take one of these caps. Everything lines up perfectly. You got your 2 little bowl holes plus the cap there. And then we're gonna go ahead and take the 90 degree that comes in. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get this in here finger tight. And then what we're gonna do is take a 13 millimeter wrench and add 1.5 turns. Now what that looks like is you gotta make sure you remember where you start. I'm gonna have to put my phone down for a second. But just remember where you started your wrench at. Go 1.5 turns after you got it finger tight. So now that those are in there, we're gonna go ahead and move on out. All right, so next we're gonna go ahead and take our bolts that are countersunk. And what we're gonna do is we take this upper bracket, place it right on top. You got the notch set out for your air hose fitting. And you just gotta get everything lined up over here. And you get these countersunk bolts mounted through. These little countersunk bolts go right in here, and they are an Allen head fitting. Let me see if I can tell you the exact size. All right, so these are a 7/32, fits it nice and tight and perfect. Now all you're doing is cranking these down to 20 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, that's not much, only 20 foot-pounds. You do not want to over tighten. All right, so in assembling the bottom plate, okay, we got one of these little roller plates in between, holes lined up. Now what you do, because these brackets are identical, okay, they're the same thing, they're just mirrored images of each other. You got a driver's side and a passenger side. But what you do is you got the flat side matched up with the flat side here, okay? Angle, and there's an angle right here, okay? So angle, angle, flat, flat. And then what you do is there's 2 sets of holes here, and there's a little side and a big side to the bottom bracket, right? Little side, big side. So what you do is you cheat this forward towards the little side, okay? So this is what it should look like. I already got this one done over here. Okay, again, see it's cheated forward towards the little side. Angles open, angles open. Fully assembled, this is what they should look like. Like I said, you got your flat side matched up with the flat side back over here. Open angle, open angle, open angle, open angle. So we got driver's side, passenger side, or reverse, but either way, we're gonna go ahead and get these installed on the truck next. But first we're gonna go ahead and get this tiny little bracket that comes with the kit, okay? And these are labeled, see there's a little R right there. And again, there are 2 different things, and this one has a little L, okay? The L is for the driver's side, it's the left of the vehicle as you're looking at it from the rear, and the R is obviously for the passenger side. All right, so now we have to get the bags and full assemblies put in place. It is a little bit difficult, but not really, because these compress really well. There's no air inside of them. Now I will say that the trick here when you're getting them in is to just, so on the driver's side, I fed it right through here in between the spare tire, this brake line. Just be very careful of the brake line. I fed it up and past, set my bottom in, and then pulled the top down and in underneath that bump stop. The biggest thing you have to be concerned about is your valve right there. You have to make sure that you're not hitting that or bumping that too much. Same thing on the passenger side. I basically fed it through right here in between the rear axle, the spare tire, and the exhaust. I fed it up and through to pass the bump stop up this direction. Set my bottom in, again, just being mindful of the brake line and everything like that that's sitting right here. And then pulled this whole assembly down and in. Again, it compresses really well. Let me see if I can show you. It's very easy to compress. And then next we're gonna get our holes all lined up here and get this bolted in place. Before we get everything mounted back together, what we're gonna do is this little clip on this wire loom is gonna go in these brackets, okay? Remember, this is going on this side, but we're gonna have this upside down, so we're just gonna go ahead and press this up and in, just like so, until it clicks. So that's in, and now this is gonna get turned up. It's gonna go in with this other bracket once we get everything lined up. All right, so once you have this bracket, set on your wire loom, you're going to take a carriage bolt and send it through the top side of the bag assembly down, and then run one of these nuts up to hold it in place. Right now, this is just kind of loose, so I can still manipulate it, both sides. Okay, again, you want it a little bit loose so you can still manipulate it, but that's all you're really doing is securing the bracket up to the main airbag. Okay, now that we're getting closer to getting our bottom bracket on, I went ahead and got this fully seated in here, the wire limb overly extended here, carriage bolt through with the nut on, again still a little bit loose, and now we're going to go ahead and drop another carriage bolt. As you can see right down there is we got carriage bolt, 2 flange nuts, and the bottom bracket. It's going to go down here, and that other carriage bolt comes in from this other hole right here. It's going to sit right there. All right, so now that we got these up here, I got this all finger tight. I got about the same amount of thread on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and start to take my 14mm wrench and tighten these just a few turns at a time, go back and forth until this is nice and snug, and then tighten up this bolt to make sure that that's nice and snug. All right, next we're going to go ahead and get our ABS line reattached. Now, I've already secured it, but you can see, again, this was what we undid earlier. It's got a little safety tab right here that lines up with our bracket. It goes right in there. Okay, a little safety tab, and then that lines up your actual hole. Now, using the hardware that comes in the kit, you're gonna take this and get this ABS line secured basically right back in the factory position, just now mounted to the bag hardware. All right, so I had to go ahead and lower the truck now at this point for myself because I needed to take the tension out of the axle to the frame, to these bump stop. But once I had my U-bolts over top and down, I just had to take this pressure out so the bag would sit in there proper, and I can go and get these bolts tightened on both sides. Now this took a bit of finesse and it takes a little bit of time, but you can get it done. Again, it's just that little L bolt that then has a second carriage bolt that goes through the other side. I'm gonna lift the truck back up and show you. So now we're down here at a little bit better of an angle. I can show you guys that I got those bolts in on both sides. Okay, and again, the bracket, you can see it, this goes up and over, it's an L, and this second thing is a carriage bolt that goes through that eyelet and comes down. I'm gonna go ahead and get these all nice and tight, and then we're gonna add the actual U-bolt that goes through this side into the, around the back of the bump stop and through our holes. So like I said, we got these little U-bolts that go around the back side of the bump stop, come up and forward. I can't really do this one-handed, but it's gonna come up and around and go right through our little holes that are right here. I just can't do it one-handed. All right, all the hardware is now in, and it's time to tighten everything up. So you see the U-bolt I got back there behind the bump stop that comes around and through the front over here. Once you have all that assembled, you want to make sure you tighten up every single thing you got, all your bolts, all your connection points on both sides, get everything nice and tight. And I'm sorry, there is actually one more thing that has to do with the airbags themselves, which is this little heat shield right here, okay? And this heat shield, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bend these tabs out and over a little, like 45, and where this is gonna basically sit is right here on your exhaust, okay? And you basically want to just protect the heat from this to this airbag. So this is kind of where this is going to go, but as you see, you don't want it just straight up against it. So we're going to go ahead and bend in some 45s. Let me show you what that looks like. All right, so that's all I'm trying to really accomplish, is to get these so that this sits up off the exhaust by a little bit to protect the heat from going to the airbag. But now we're going to go ahead and use the clamps and get that around the exhaust to protect that bag. All right, so once I have this mounted right here, this is nice and secure. I'm also gonna go ahead and just give it a little bit of a bend to kind of match the contour of our exhaust a little bit. That way it's just like that. So now we're just extra heat shield protection to the airbag. That's all you're doing here. All right, now that the bags are completely installed, all the bolts are tightened up, the airline, I just temporarily ran, okay? It's just a push connect fitting, so you just push the airline right inside there. And I just temporarily ran both sides of it. A little quick zip tie there, up and over, coiled up the excess here, and I just have my fittings sitting right here. Now the reason I did it so temporary like that, it's just sitting there on a zip tie, is because we were gonna be installing an onboard compressor tank, the wireless tank, and easy mount. It's an insane system. It's gonna be a follow-up video on a whole separate thing. This was just to show you guys how to install those airbags onto this truck. Really a very, very simple process. Now, if you don't want to do something so temporary, what you can do is they provide all the hardware, including a little rubber washer and whatnot, 2 sides, 2 nuts. And so you can mount these, whether you want to mount them in your bumper, you can mount them up, say, up in here, one on each side. That way you can kind of just fill up your bags manually. Very simple to do. just a quick little psh, and you can fill them up. I'm gonna actually show you that real quick. We're gonna take the truck down and put a little bit of air in the system. Of course, you do wanna check all your fittings right now to make sure that you're not leaking, all right? Little soapy water bubbles, spray it on your fittings and check for bubbles everywhere. All right, to show you before I add air, right now there's no air in the system. We are sitting at 42 inches, almost perfectly on the driver's side. And let's check the passenger side here. Again, pretty much right at 42 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and put air into the system and show you guys how much this can lift it up. All right, so before we were at no load, of course, at 42 inches. Now I put 40 PSI and we're at about 43 and a quarter, 43 and a half almost. Let's check the other side. Again, I put 40 PSI of air in the bags. Yeah, about the same thing, 43 and a quarter. Again, that's with no load, right? Of course, when you put the fifth wheel on here with no air in it, or with 5 PSI, which is the minimum you're supposed to keep it at, it's gonna sink it down probably at least an inch, inch and a half. So you know you can raise it back up to perfectly level and all that fun stuff. But so that's it, just wanna show you a little bit of sample there. All right, so that's really it when it comes to installing the airbags themselves. Okay, these were the 7500 XL. It's the same thing for the 5000 series. It's a very similar process, same type of brackets. It's just these bags are a little bit beefier and thicker for that extra weight. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because we are going to be having a follow-up video for the onboard compressor and tank and everything like that. So it's all going to be automatic. But make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, drop a comment down below. If you got any questions, let me know. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching One Out RV. Bye.